All right. Pushing up our heels, shoulder circles, warmth, circulation. You're caught up now. And as we're stepping back, go ahead and just the leg that's not the outer leg, you start kind of kicking that butt. And get your arms almost like you're pulling a band back, squeezing those shoulder blades. And as you're squeezing those shoulder blades, think about the shoulder coming back. Sometimes the shoulder wants to dump forward. But if we can squeeze those shoulder blades together, waking them up. All right, now my hips are getting really tired. Go ahead into the center and just do some steps just to loosen yourself up. I'm going to do one more movement, maybe two more movements in this manner to wake our body up. Just doing these. I really like finding these exercises on YouTube where these ladies just walk it out this way. I feel like it's a nice low stress on the body, but gets my heart rate going. Go ahead, come into stillness, step a little bit more wide. Reach tall to the side, coming up on your toes. Bring your arms down, bring your knee in, come back down, and then we're gonna switch. Or actually, let's just do one side for a second. So as we're reaching, let's go back to reaching. Really root through that heel. Push that hip back ever so slightly. Almost as if you're gonna use that foot to push yourself back up. So kind of feel that outer hip turned on. Find that X in the core. And let's just do 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nice and strong in that hip. 9, 10. Good. Go back to your marching. Let your hips kind of loosen up. If you felt any tightness in that low back, just really engage that lower core a little bit more, pulling up on that pubic bone. If you felt any tightness in the neck, think about finding that rotation in that bicep as you're reaching. Find a wider stance again, toes face forward, reach overhead as a diagonal. This foot is on its toes. Bend that knee ever so slightly, kneecap is facing forward, push that hip back, find that core, and as if without moving, as if you're pushing that floor away, turn that hip on slightly. Be nice and strong. Try to minimize your motion in your hip. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Take your time. 9, 10. Good. Come back to center. March it out. We're going to do one more. All right. Let's see. What do we want to do? All right. Come into stillness. Know that we're moving around. It's kind of hard to come to stillness, but find that integrity of the core. Go ahead and step one leg back. Drop that knee down ever so slightly. Root through that heel. Draw up on that pubic bone. Your ribs draw down. And then step back up, rooting through that heel to step up. And then you're going to step the other leg back. So we're just going to step up and back, up and back. The lower you go, the more you push through that heel. But I want you to really feel that core engaged. You don't have to go low, but I want you to feel that glute pushing you up. All right, 5 more on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. I just want to keep marching around. Go ahead, just shake your hips out. Find some rotation in your back, circles in your shoulder. Find some stillness in your body, hands at your hips, just to find that core. Again, root through one foot, really rooting through that heel, rooting through the ball of the big toe and the ball of the pinky toe. Slowly let the other leg float up. Interlace your fingers in front of your knee. As you pull your knee up, squeeze those shoulder blades back, but root straight down. What we tend to want to do is lean back. I want you to think about rooting straight up. That core is still engaged. It's more of the shoulder blades turning on. Do some circles in your ankle. A good balance exercise here. And the other direction. Keep your opposite hand on your knee. Give yourself a big hug with the same side hand. And you're just going to smear your ribs open to the side. Think about your belly button facing forward. I know my legs are already getting tired. Almost there. Take your time. Gazes over your back fingertips. Keep rooting through your heel. Knee is straight, core is turned on. Come back to center. Let that leg come down. Shake the hips out. I know we're working them. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Hands at your hips. Root through your foot. Slowly let the other leg float up. Interlace your finger in front of that knee. Squeeze those shoulder blades back. Root through that heel. Find your circles in your ankle. Notice how you're standing. I find I am leaning to my side for that balance. See if I can keep that hip over my ankle. I'm going to feel my hip a little bit more. Keep your opposite hand on your knee. Give yourself a big hug. Belly button faces forward to keep that core turned on. Reach behind you. Keep straightening that knee. Root through your heel. Core is turned on. Slowly come back. Let that foot come down. Shake it out. All right. Let's move to the floor. Standing at the front of the mat. Let's take some time just to let your fingertips reach to the ground. Really reach them. Let the shoulder blades slide down the back. As if the tips of the shoulder blades are coming together without those ribs flaring forward. Side bend your head to one side. Head is facing forward. You can just stand here. Do maybe some little circles so that shoulder, notice how that feels. Waking up those upper traps. Could be really small. Sometimes moving in this stretch can be not so feeling good. Come into stillness with that shoulder. Slowly bring your head back to center, other direction. Feel a nice stretch again. You can just stay there or do some mini circles with your shoulder. I'm finding I'm getting a lot of tightness in my shoulder and my arms. Definitely need this too. Come back to center. Keep reaching your fingertips to the ground. Slowly reach them out. We're just going to slowly let our arms float forward, but I want you to keep reaching your arms away from each other. Feel that gentle stretch, maybe a little nervy. My arms are really tight. Slowly let it come up to the sky. As your arms come up, notice how your core is going to need to turn on. And as we come up, think about that bicep rotating behind you. Finding that rotation, you're going to notice bicep coming behind you. As you're reaching, notice how you want to flare those ribs forward, draw them down. You can stay here or slowly bend the elbows Let the hands drop down, reaching down your back. Feel a nice gentle stretch in your triceps, hovering behind your head. Again, we're not arching in the mid-back. Feel that integrity of the core. Let them reach back up to the sky, reaching out to the side. Biceps are still rotated up to the sky. As your arms start to come down, turn your thumbs down. Your whole arm comes down. Squeeze those shoulder blades back and just let your arm hover behind your back. We're going to do 2 more of these motions. Going nice and slow. Letting the arms reach as they come out. The thumbs turn up towards the sky. The biceps move with them. All the way up. As your fingertips reach the sky, feel your thumbs go behind you and your biceps rotating. That's going to draw your shoulder blades down. You can stay here. You can add that extra bend of the elbow, hovering behind, reaching down your back. And up. Doing 1 more. Moving on your arm. Oh, and thumbs go down, hovering behind your back. Shoulder blades squeeze back. Don't let them cock forward. And back up. Last one. This time I want you just to pause with me with your hands up, thumbs behind you. Lift up through your sternum, get a gentle arch in the back, but feel the integrity of the core supporting. Neck is long, chin slightly tucked in. Really root through your feet as you grow through your spine. Let your arms come out to the side, bend your knees. If you need to, have your legs a little bit wider. Ooh, nice stretch in the hamstring. Grab your opposite elbows, shoulders draw back. Root through your heels. I need to get a little wider for myself. And draw those shoulder blades down your back, away from your neck. Shake your head, yes. Shake your head, no. Doing this kind of motion is one of my favorite ways to find length in the spine, opening up the segments between the vertebra of my neck and even into the mid-back. Let your hands come down to the ground. Step your left leg back. Drop that knee down. Root through that heel. Hands at your hips. Really kick that back foot and shin into the ground as you pull up on that pubic bone, pressing your hips forward. Feeling a nice stretch in the hamstring. If you want to go a little deeper, you can take your hands, reach them to the sky, thumbs face back. Think about that rotation of the bicep. Grow through the spine. Maybe you feel that stretch going from your quad into your belly. That's your deep hip flexors. Slow your breath down. Root through that front heel. Of the leg that's forward, bring your arms down or bring your arm up if your hands are still at your hips, and rest your elbow on your knee. Keep your shoulders parallel to the floor. We might want to feel like we're dropping and feel a little cockeyed. If your knee is getting tender, you can put something more soft, like a pillow under there. Press your elbow that's on your knee in. That's going to engage that shoulder and keep your shoulders parallel. And then go ahead and just rock. Rock forward. See if you can just swing your arm in a circle. Next move is going to really allow that shoulder blade to warm up. From here, I want you to bring the arm that's swinging, straighten your palm out, palm faces forward. Squeeze that shoulder blade back, all the way back. Like you're reaching behind you. Sweep that hand around the side like you're sweeping it through molasses, through water. You're gonna cross mid-body where it's really reaching. You're gonna feel a nice stretch in that side, your lats. Thumb comes down the sky, pushing into your arm and your knee. Sideways and then sweep again. Continue that motion. on your own. All right. Go ahead and meet me with your hands framing that front foot. Go ahead and just kind of shimmy that foot out to the side, bringing it down to meet the other side. Press into your hands. Find some arch in your back. Squeeze the shoulder blade back. Then push through your hands, push through your feet, and round in the back. Going back and forth between this arching and this rounding, really tucking the tailbone. You could always have your knees a little wider, whatever feels best to you. When I go into my arch, I still think about drawing my ribs in, and I'll get a deeper stretch in that abdominal area, but you don't want to go into tension, just gentleness. You can pair it with your breath, exhaling we round. Come into center and do a little side wag, hugging your hips towards your shoulders, left and right, making a C with your spine. Getting a nice stretch in your mid back, or more your low back. Whatever foot was forward before, you're gonna come into stillness. You're gonna leave that foot that was forward on the ground and slide your other leg back. Squeeze that glute, let the leg hover. Hug that knee in towards your chest. Place it between your hands. Root through your heels, hands at your hips. Pull up on that pubic bone. Press the hips forward. Kick that back foot and shin into the ground. Root straight down through your front heel. Feel a nice stretch in your quad and your hip flexor. And if you'd like, you can take your arms, reach them to the sky. Really reach. The more you reach, the more length you find in that spine. Maybe you feel that stretch into your belly, going into those hip flexors of the psoas. Psoas can be a big culprit of locking down our backs. Notice the difference between one shoulder and the other. I certainly can. I feel like my shoulder we just moved is like sitting lower. Go ahead and come down. Take the same hand, place it on the front leg. Root through that arm to get your shoulders parallel, and just start kind of swinging your arm forward and back. And then make some circles, clockwise, counterclockwise. Just warming up the rotator cuff muscles that stabilize the shoulders. And then when you're ready, come into stillness, palm faces forward. Squeeze that shoulder blade back as you bring the arm back, and then go ahead, sweep that hand horizontally, as if you're moving through molasses, cross mid-body. You can always pause at that deep side stretch if you'd like, or you can keep moving, turning that thumb down, reaching it up to the sky. As I'm reaching up, I'm rooting through my elbow into my knee, and then sweeping through again. Thumb goes down as I reach up. This whole time, envisioning myself moving through molasses. I really like that cue, because as we think about that, we're engaging more muscles around this joint, loosening up the shoulder muscles, allowing them to fire better so those upper traps can relax. One more. When you're ready, go ahead, bring that arm, both arms down to frame that foot. You can just heel toe that foot out to the side, bring it behind you. So we're back on our hands and knees. And we're just gonna take a moment here to massage our forearms. So I want you to take one hand, turn the palm up, rest on your elbow. Take your other hand and massage that elbow into the forearm. I've been getting a lot of tightness. So you're just gonna be massaging your elbow into your forearm. Especially focusing up high in the forearm, up high in this area, maybe on the pinky side. That's where all your muscles are engaged, attached, that flex the hand, meaning making a grip. This is good for anyone that likes to just curl their hands up while they're sleeping, which is me, or just uses their hands for a lot of things. If you tend to be that person on the computer a lot, you can do the same massage technique, turn the palm down, and just get into the top of the forearm. Choose your own adventure. If you're getting kind of tired, maybe your arm is really forward. So just bring that elbow directly under your shoulder. And you don't necessarily have to use the pointy part of your elbow. You can just use that bone, that long bone, and go ahead and switch sides. What you're doing is just kind of finding those tenderish points. You might even notice your fingers moving automatically on their own as you get into these muscles. I invite you, if it felt good, turn that palm down and get onto the top side. You can use your long bone. Good. Walk your hands back up. Curl your toes under. I know we're on our knees. You could always fold that mat up, put a pillow under your knees. Squeeze those glutes. Have your hands at the small of your back, fingertips pointing down. Squeeze those elbows together, the shoulder blades together, lift up through that sternum. Find that core. If you want to lean back further, you'll feel that quad stretch, the core engage a little bit more. Good. Maybe shake the arms out from this position. All right. I really want to do one more thing. That involves being on our hands here. And then we'll be off our shoulders if you're getting tired. So just come back down, hands on the floor. Keep those toes curled in. Press into your hands, let your knees hover. Feel that core really turned on. And then push your hips up to the sky, pushing the floor away. And just take a moment coming up onto your toes, pedaling out your calves. My calves have been crazy tight. I like to just come up onto my toes and slowly let one heel come down. Again, that cue of moving through molasses. You can move slow, you can move them together, whatever feels good. Think about finding relaxation in your neck by rotating those biceps in towards your ears, just like we were when they were overhead. If you're getting tension in your neck. And when you're ready, bring your knees back to the floor. Bring your hips to the ground and grab the ball that you have near you. We're just gonna massage into those upper traps. So I want you to take your ball, let your hips come to the ground, sit up and come onto the floor. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your ball and you're just gonna place it behind your shoulder. Now I'm not on my scapula, I'm just a little bit above it, okay? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay into that ball. So whatever feels best, maybe you might want that the more firm ball, even though it's smaller. But you can try both. And sometimes I might even use my feet and I might just press into the floor and kind of scoot my body pressure into the ball a little bit more. Maybe I might shift my body side to side just to find that special spot in the upper trap that might want a little bit more attention. And then go ahead and just let your arm come up and down. Like a snow angel. You don't have to go all the way up. At some point, I'm just bending my elbow. But just to add some motion, or maybe it just feels really good to just lay on this ball. And you can always rearrange yourself so you have that pressure on the upper trap again. Or maybe you just pause with your arm at a certain position that feels really good. Taking slow breaths and just allowing your body to sink into the ball. And then go ahead, take the ball and move it to the other side. For me, I find it most comfortable kind of more closer to my spine, not on the spine, but right between my scapula, my shoulder blade, and my spine. Or maybe it feels better to you, more outer. Let's do that awkward kind of side movement, kind of pushing into my feet, finding that good spot. And then once I find a good spot, I'll just rest on it. Or maybe I'll add that small snow angel movement. Again, my arm's not coming all the way up. At some point where I can't lift my arm up, I'm just gonna bend my elbow. And coming down, up and down, moving on my own, pausing where it feels good. Taking a few breaths, maybe even that sigh. Breathing into that area. Maybe notice that relaxation that could be happening in that neck. And when you're ready, take the ball and just put it to your side. We're gonna stay on our back and just loosen up the pec muscles. And then we'll go into engaging these muscles. To do that while you're on your back, you're just gonna grip onto that front part of your pec. You can even hold on to the ball and press it into that area, or you can take your fingers and just kind of press into that area. But I find I like to just grip onto it. I might switch up. Sometimes gripping can tire your hands out. So I might go between gripping and pressing. So wherever you're at, find that kind of extra sensitive area that's asking for a little love and hold on to that pressure, whether you're pressing or gripping. Let your arm come up across midline. and open up nice and wide. Doing this kind of big circle. We're gonna do clockwise circle. Already my grip is tired, so I'm switching to my finger press, and I'm gonna go back and forth between those two motions. Maybe even take that ball that I have and press that ball into that area. And then go clockwise. Or maybe I make a fist and just press. Anywho, my hands are tired, so we're not going to do this long. Go ahead, switch sides, grip onto the same area on your other side, or press in, or use your ball, whatever technique you are utilizing. And then find that clockwise motion where your arm goes midline in front of your body. Loosening up these muscles are gonna make your neck feel so good. And then the other direction. Good, go ahead into stillness. Let your arms just rest to the side for a second. And notice the difference in the neck. I'm gonna get us off our back in a second, so don't get too comfortable, but just feel that relaxation. The softness in the front of the neck and the heaviness between the shoulder blades. That spine coming to the ground. Take a few breaths thinking about breathing into your back ribs, breathing between those shoulder blades without getting much motion in your front ribs. See if you can breathe into your back ribs, feeling those back ribs between the shoulder blades expanding into the floor without letting your neck turn on too much. Before we start drifting into that Zen mode, go ahead and roll to your side. We're just gonna roll all the way back over, pressing ourselves into hands and knees position. Just gonna do a quick time check. Yep. Maybe you want to get another kind of hip wiggle in, or somebody called this a disco kitty, where you're kind of moving almost like a cylinder, letting your belly drop down and up. Really whatever feels good to you. Waking up the spine and going the other direction. Come into stillness and make sure your knees are under your hips and your hands are under your shoulders. I want you to press into your hands so you just have some tension in the shoulders, as if you're pressing the floor away. We're not doing it where we're going into a round. We're just doing it to turn those shoulder blades on. You're gonna curl one toe under, and as best you can, I want you to do this movement without shifting your hips. Keep them nice and still. Slide one leg back. Squeeze the glute. From here, I want you to reach that opposite arm, thumb up to the sky. 2 breaths here. Come back down, hands, then the knee. Same thing, curl the other toe under. Slide that foot back. Squeeze the glute, lift opposite thumb to the sky. Feel that core really turned on. Bring the hand down and the knee down. All right, I'm going to shift to just doing the arms, but if you want that extra challenge with the opposite leg, So we're just gonna lift that arm up, thumb is up, not directly in front of us, but almost like a Y here. Think about getting that bicep really rotating back so that upper trap doesn't kick on. From the Y, I want you to move to your T and then go back to the Y. We're gonna do 5 of these. Keep that rotation, the bicep, that's really important. I know this is tough. 2, feel that core turned on. Last 1. Bring your arms down. Same thing, other side. Thumb is up, but get that bicep rotating up to the sky in your Y shape. Feel that core really turned on. Move to your T, 90 degrees at the shoulder. Back to your Y. We're doing 5. See if you can really find relaxing length in your neck. 2, 1. Good. Hand down. Find a round. If you need one, let your hip come to the floor. Bring your feet in front of you. Soles of the feet together. Really press those feet together. I really think about pressing the ball of my big toe together. I'm holding onto my ankle. I squeeze my shoulder blades back. I root straight down through my sit bones, finding length in my spine. Let's just do a nice little stretch here. Before we go into a deeper stretch, I want you to take one hand and just, actually we'll do that in a different position. Go ahead from here, hand holding onto your ankle. Start to lean forward, hinging at your hips. Neck is long. We're actively pressing your feet together. That's going to turn that inner core on, turn the pelvic floor on. I'm just going until I feel a gentle sensation. Every breath in, I'm breathing into my pelvic floor. Really, for me, focusing on relaxing the muscles around the anus area, breathing into the low back. Every exhale, I lift up through the pelvic floor. Just loosening up the muscles in that area. Go ahead, bring yourself back up. Take your hands and guide your knees up so your toes, your legs are wide. I want you to take your hand and just kind of grip onto that inner thigh and just see if you can kind of massage into that inner thigh. Maybe you want to use your knuckles and kind of just press straight down into these muscles here. Going all the way up to the groin area. And same thing on the other side. You can do your grip, which might actually not feel as good. You want to use your knuckles. Loosening up those adductors. Oftentimes our adductors will get tight when that core is a little tired. The core could be tired if we're tight in our back. It's all connected. And then just take your hands as a fist using your pinky side of your fist and just kind of do some drum rolls on the inside of your thighs. Maybe you even want to get into your quads. Oh, it feels so good. Or you want to have your palms like the white, like your knuckles, and just kind of get the outside. Just waking up those hips. Finding that area that feels the extra good. That's where you need it, whether that's the inner thighs, the front of the quads, the outer quads. Continue doing this. Keep those shoulder blades drawn back, sitting up nice and tall. When you're ready, come into stillness. Take your hands, thumbs face down, grab onto your inner thighs, I'm not gripping, I'm just kind of gently holding. From here, I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades back. That's going to kind of rotate my legs back a little bit. I'm going to actively press my knees into the ground, sitting up nice and tall. And then I'm going to slowly shift my hips forward. My neck is nice and long. My spine is long. Every breath in, I get more length in my spine. Relaxing the pelvic floor and my anus muscles, the back of my small of the back. Every exhale, I lift the pelvic floor as a Kegel. You can stay here with your hands at your legs if that feels especially good, or you can kind of just slowly walk your fingertips forward till you feel the edge of your stretch. And then continue with your breathing. Knees are straight, toes reach to the sky. Maybe even you stretch your toes for that deeper fascial stretch of the posterior chain. Breathing in, find length in your spine. Relaxing the pelvic floor. Exhale. Engage the pelvic floor, turning that core on. Maybe sinking a little deeper into the stretch. Slowly melting. You can always move your hands more forward if you're going. Slowly walking your hands back up into seated position. Use your arms, guide your knees in front of you. Slowly roll onto your back. Knees hugged into your chest so you can have your knees wide, rocking side to side. As long as this feels comfortable to you. Reach your heels to the sky, come into stillness, grab onto your ankles, hug your knees in towards your shoulders. Keep that tailbone down, rock side to side, massaging into that thoracic spine. From here, let the knees come back down. Open your arms out wide, heel to your feet out to the side. And we're going to let our knees come to one side, and whatever side those knees are coming, whatever foot is up high or knee is up high, you're going to press that inside of the foot into the ground like you're pushing the floor away to help with the gentle twist. Think about drawing that pubic bone up, feel a nice stretch. Squeeze that glute to help push the floor away, get a nice stretch in that quad. Tune into your breath. Draw your core in, the small of the back comes to the floor, the knees follow. Switching sides, pushing the floor away with the opposite foot. Think about that big toe part of the foot pushing the floor away. Squeeze that glute. Feel a nice stretch in that quad, or maybe your hip, or maybe your back. Keep squeezing that glute. My glute always wants to relax and turn off. Draw your core in, the small of the back comes to the ground, the knees follow, heel toe your feet back together. Take your hands, thumb face down, grab onto your inner thighs. Final thing here. Reach your heels to the sky. Think about really rooting through the tailbone into the floor. And I like to just squeeze my legs together just to turn those inner thighs on, really reach those heels. Point your ankles, reach through your heels. Maybe gently turn the legs in as you reach through their heels. And then turn your legs out, kneecaps face out, reach through your heels in. The gentle movement. Point your ankles. You could do the same thing, just seeing what it feels like to turn in and out. But don't strain yourself, your hip flexors are getting tight. And then bring your legs down. Do some little windshield wipers of your knees back and forth. Don't worry too much about it. And when you're ready, go ahead and straighten your legs. Palms face up to the sky. I like to tuck my shoulder blades under, and if I feel some tension in my back when my legs are straight, I'll bend my knees again. I'll lift my hips. I'll tuck my tailbone under, and then I'll straighten the legs for that just extra comfort. Or you could just keep your knees bent. Take a breath in, sigh it out. You could always lay on your side, whatever position is more comfortable. Think about all the muscles in your feet relaxing. Go ahead and just scrunch up the muscles in your feet. Scrunch up your toes, really scrunch them up and then relax them. And then now this, instead of scrunching up your toes, lift your toes up towards your heels. Lift, 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 and relax. Getting that full release. Working your way up the body, straighten the knees, press the small of the backs into the ground. Press, 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 and relax. This time we're going to add the feet. So lift your toes up to the sky like you're lifting them to your knees, and then straighten your knees into the ground and relax. Doing everything, just melting. Go ahead and flex your feet, straighten your knees. That string at your pubic bone, pull up, feel that core really turned on. Draw those ribs down and relax. Lift your toes, straighten your knees, pull up, find that X of your core and squeeze those glutes together. Squeeze, 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 and then fully relax. Lift your toes, straighten your knees, find your core, squeeze those glutes, press the shoulder blades into the ground. You'll feel those biceps rotating away from your body, and relax. Lift your toes, straighten the knees, find your core, squeeze those glutes, press the shoulder blades to the ground, straighten the elbows, make a fist with your hands and then straighten them, pressing your fingernails into the floor, and then relax. Almost done with the whole body. Lift your toes, straighten your knees, find your core, squeeze your glutes, Press the shoulder blades into the floor, straighten the elbows, press the fingernails into the ground. Tuck your chin in, and then let it come out and press the small of your head into the floor. Press, 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 and relax. Flex your toes, straighten your knees, find your core, squeeze your glutes, press your shoulder blades to the ground, elbows are straight, fingertips to the ground, press the small of your head, the back of your head into the floor, scrunch up your face. This is our final one. Core is engaged, ribs draw in, and then fully relax. Everything melts. Your jaw unhinges. Your belly softens. Small of the back releases. Between the shoulder blades gets heavier. Take a deep breath in and sigh it out. Take another if that felt extra good. And be one with that sensation of comfort, of relaxation, of peace in your body in this moment. Surrender to the sensations. Begin to wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, deepen your breath, find circles in your ankles and your wrists. Reach your arms overhead, that's a good AM stretch. Hug your knees into your chest, maybe rock side to side, and when you're ready, roll to your side. Taking 2 breaths to settle on your side. Before pressing yourself up into a seated position. Thank you so much for showing up for yourself today, to invest your time in your temple, to sweep up the cobwebs, so to speak. And thank you for choosing me to guide you through this movement practice, a gift given to me from the Lord. I bow to the truth as the truth will set you free. Amen. Oh. My ears.
Good stretches, Sarah.